Space. Check. YouTube.py-vid.
Hey everybody, and welcome to KTB Web Services. My name is Keith, and in this video we are going to check out some basic fundamentals of Python while using a screen reader. So the main goal of this video is to kind of introduce some how you can use variables and different data types, and then different built-in functions that Python offers, as well as a if-else condition to check out a real-world example of the user going in, entering their PIN, and then getting feedback on whether or not that PIN is correct. So first things first, if you would like, please subscribe and click that bell notification to get updates whenever I come out with future videos. I come out with technology videos like this where I program while using a screen reader. I will also show tips and tricks and things like JavaScript and HTML, CSS, and plenty more, especially on the server side as well. If you're already a subscriber and you've been here before, thank you very much, and I appreciate you watching. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So the first thing we want to do is I'm in this Python file that it is small enough that I will actually put it in the description to where you can copy it and put it into your text editor, and then here soon I'll have somewhere where you can actually go download these files. So first thing, I've got this laid out with comments, and to create a comment in Python, you put for a single line comment, you create a number sign, and then you type a number sign, and then the comment comes after. So at the top we have
Number
stored pin. So first I'm going to slow my screen reader down. Now I'm using Visual Studio Code for my text editor, and the screen reader is NVDA screen reader. It's the most efficient screen reader I've found that works with the workflow environment of a real world when programming. So I have a video on how to set up Visual Studio Code with JAWS screen reader. But again, I primarily use NVDA right now. So I'm working on getting some things set up to be able to see if I can't move back and forth. But right now, this is the one I'll be using. So again, I have these comments. I'm going to slow the screen reader down real quick.
NVDA menu. Preferences submenu. Settings speech. Settings
So settings. So we want to come in
speech 2 of 14.
To the speech settings.
Change voice colon rate colon slider 80
and we're just going to turn
70,
this rate down.
60, 62, 64, 65.
We'll go to 65.
YouTube.py.
Alright, so again I'm going to go to the top.
Number stored pin.
So we have numbered and then stored pin. So underneath this we're going to create a variable.
Blank.
And to create a variable, you just simply type the name of what you want it to be. So in this case, it's going to be pin, and we're going to set it equals, and this is called an assignment operator. So this just assigns a variable to a value, and the value is some sort of data, so a data type, which in this case is going to be an integer. So we're just going to create a pin. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now if I read this line,
12,300 and pin equals 12,345.
So pin equals 12,345, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, we take a variable name, which we create a pin. We use an assignment operator, which is just single equal sign, and set it equal to the value of an integer, and that value, or a data type of an integer, and that value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we move down.
Number collect username.
So now we want to create a variable to collect the username, and again I have comments to this. So
blank.
What this is going to do is we're going to create a variable called name, and we're going to set it equal to an input function that's built into Python. Now when we write an input function, we just type input and then left parenthesis, right parenthesis. Now you want to left arrow back into in the middle of these parentheses.
Right paren.
because in these parentheses you want to type the message that you want to give your user so they know what they're typing. So in this case it's going to be a data type string, so we're going to use quotes.
Quote. Quote. Quote.
Okay, so we type 2 quotes and then I hit left arrow to get back in the middle of them. Now you can use single quotes, just an apostrophe for this, but if you're going to use it here, you need to use it everywhere as the common practice. So for in this case, I'm going to use double quotes, and then in the middle of that, we're going to type our message. So
Happy.
please
Please.
enter your name.
Your name.
All right, so if we read this line,
Name equals input left paren. Quote, please enter your name dot quote right paren.
okay, so we hear that our input function, and we put a parameter of a string, and that is the message for the user. So we want to move down a line.
Number collect user pin.
So here we're going to create a variable to collect their the actual pin that they provide.
Blank.
So we'll create a variable called user underscore
unknown line
or underline.
YouTube.py editor has
So user underscore pin and set it equal
space
to, first thing is we're going to do an integer function, another built-in Python function, and all functions we're looking at right now are built in. So integer is going to be a function to where the parameter you put inside that, it needs to be an integer value or it will return an error. So
space line feed,
you want to type int and then left parenthesis, right parenthesis.
Right paren.
Okay, so inside of these parentheses we're going to type our input function, because remember we want to take in their pin.
I-N-U-T.
And again, that's input, I-N-P-U-T, and then left parenthesis, right parenthesis.
Right paren.
All right, and we move back into the middle of the input functions parentheses, and we want to type a message to ask the user for their pin. Now it's going to be a string, so we want to surround it in quotes.
Quote, quote, quote.
And in those quotes we type, please enter your pin.
Pin.
Okay, so now if we read this line,
User line pin equals int left paren, input left paren, quote, please enter your pin dot quote right paren, right paren.
Okay, so we now can move down to our next line.
Blank. Number if else condition.
So we now come to our comment where we're going to actually create an if else condition, and
Number see if user pin equals stored pin.
you hear there that I have another comment. We're going to see if the user pin equals the stored pin. So again, the stored pin is the first variable we created named pin, and then we're going to collect the user input, which should be an integer that will be the user's pin. So we're going to move down a line.
Blank.
Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. To create an if-else condition in Python, you first want to type if, so if space, and now we're actually going to put what we want to condition right here. So you want to say user pin. So it's user underscore pin. Now we're going to type it out all the way just because for the video, but Visual Studio Code will allow you to actually tab to finish it out since it is a variable in this document. So like I said, we're going to finish it.
User line pin 1 of 3. List item YouTube.py space.
So we're just going to delete that back, and now we're just going to type it all the way.
Line.
So user underscore pin. And now we're going to come to our comparison operator, because we want to say if user underscore pin actually equals the pin that's stored. That's what we want to say. So we can't just use a single equals here. We have to actually use, like I said, a comparison operator that compares two values to see if they're equal, and that is a double equals.
Space blank.
So we're going to say if, and I'll let you listen.
If user line pin.
So if user underscore pin equals, that's two of them.
Space. And
then we'll space that and say pin.
P-I-N.
Okay.
YouTube.
Now to start what you want to do if this is true, we want to type a colon.
Colon.
So this is how you start an if condition.
If user line pin equals pin colon.
So if user underscore pin equals pin colon, we type enter. Now Python is delimited by spaces, which means that it just knows when to move to the next line of code and what block that, or what scope that code is associated with. So in this case, if this is true, we want to do this block of code. So this will be indented.
Blank. If user line pin equals pin colon. Blank.
And so we're going to indent
blank.
that. Now it's not reading me my spaces.
Circle number C if user pin equals stored pin. If user line pin blank. Blank. If user line pin equals
so we're going to move down from this.
4 space.
Okay, so you hear 4 space. So what I've done there was I just went back up to the colon and or to the if line, and then went to the end of the line and press enter. And when I press enter, it moved me to the next line and indented me 4 spaces. So from here, we actually want to use another function. It's our print function. So you're going to type print, P-R-I-N-T, left parenthesis, right parenthesis. So inside of these parentheses, we'll come back left. Okay. We want to type a string. So our string is going to be our message if the pin does equal, which means that it's valid and they can move through. So we again surround it in quotes.
Quote. Quote.
Move left and use our left arrow to get back in those quotes. And then what we can do now is type our message. So the pin is correct. And that's all we're going to say for now. Now what you want to do is make sure you move to the end of this. We'll read this line.
Print left paren, quote the pin is correct dot quote right paren.
Okay, so print left parenthesis quote, and then the pin is correct. I put a period and then quote to end the string, and then right parenthesis to end the function. So now I'm going to go to the end of this line.
Line feed.
By pressing end, press enter. It's going to move me to the next line, but now it still has me indented inside of this block. Now we want to move to our else, so we want to press backspace.
Space.
Now it's going to left indent us, and just so you can hear that, I'll up arrow.
Print left paren, quote the pin is correct.
And I'll down arrow.
No indent blank.
And you hear no indent. So now I want to type else.
E-L-S-E.
All right, colon.
Else 1 of 8, colon.
And we want to press enter.
4 space.
And you hear 4 space, so it indents us automatically. And then we want to now type our message if the pin is not correct. Because in this case, we're saying if it is equal and this is true, we want to print that it is correct. But anything else, so anything else that it could be, we're going to actually print this message. So we're going to use our print function again, print, and then left parenthesis, right parenthesis, and then we go inside those parentheses, and we're going to type our message in here, which is a string, so we surround it in quotes.
Quote, quote.
We left there to get back in the middle of those quotes, and we want to type our message, which says, sorry,
F-S-R-Y, sorry,
the
space.
pin is incorrect.
R-E-T, incorrect.
All right, so I'll read this line for you.
Print left paren, quote sorry dot. The pin is incorrect dot. Quote right paren.
Okay, so you hear all of our syntax, which is the left parenthesis and the quotes and things like that, the colon, you know, that is part of the syntax of Python. So, and you want to make sure that that is correct, because it will throw an error if it's not. So now we want to
no indent blank. 4 space print left paren.
Move back up. I'm going to Control S to save.
No indent else colon. No indent if user line pin.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to review this.
Number stored pin.
So
pin equals.
We first store our pin that would be somewhere like a database, okay? And the goal would be
number collect username.
To have the username in order to verify that the name will match the so we pull in the name, and we're going to use that name, so we store it in a variable. Okay.
Name equals
and
number collect user pin.
We collect their user pin, and this is to identify them to a specific number that is only theirs. So, and the idea is to take that number and also pull the name from what would be that data set that we would pull from the database to match the name as a secondary authentication. And then we would take
user line pin equals in blank
and
number
move to our condition, because now we're going to want to check and see if the pin and everything matches. So we say
numbers if user line pin equals pin colon.
So we use our if condition. We started with an if user underscore pin, and we use that comparison operator equals, and we want to make sure it's equal to the stored pin coming from the data set. And if it is,
or space print.
So if that is true, we want to print a message that the pin is correct. So I'll read this line.
Print left paren, quote the pin is correct dot quote right paren.
Okay, and then I'll move down.
No indent else colon.
Because now we're going to move to our else. So else colon, we want to print a message saying that error, something's went wrong, or error, the pin's not correct.
Or space print left paren, quote sorry dot. The pin is incorrect dot.
Okay, and again you hear quote right paren at the end. I kind of cut it off, but you also hear that it's the spacing. So it's again delimited by spaces. Whenever most programming languages like JavaScript or C++, they're delimited by semicolon. So you just end the line when you're done with it with a semicolon. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to run this for you inside of Git Bash. So I'm going to come over to the folder that it's in.
OB videos row 1 column 3 Python variables comma string.
Okay, so here we're going to take and deselect
space. Not
the
selected, not
file. So, and then we want to press our applications
Context
key,
menu.
because I'm going to
Use
down
submenu
arrow till I hear open with Git Bash.
Sort by group, refresh E, custom, paste P, paste, undo, open in, Git GUI here G, Git Bash here S.
All right, Git Bash here, so I'm going to hit enter.
C colon backslash Windows back.
Now this opens up my terminal, and this is a Linux environment as far as the terminal goes. And what I'm going to do here is you type Python space,
Python.
and then you want to type
Space.
the name of the file that you want to run. So in this case it's youtube.py, but another little thing about this terminal is you can actually type the starting of the file. So it's u. I'm going to press tab to finish that,
YouTube.py.
and it finishes it for me, and I'm going to press enter.
Please enter your name dot.
Okay, so now our program is up and running, and we're going to enter our name now. So Keith, and I'm going to press enter.
Please enter your pin dot.
Okay, and it says please enter your pin. So again, our pin that would be, in the real world coming from a data set, from a database, is 1 2 3 4 5. So that's what we're matching. So I'm going to match that just to show you the message whenever it is correct. So
1 2 3 4 5.
Press enter.
The pin is correct dot. Keith Blackwelder.
Okay, so you hear the pin is correct, and what happens there is there's nothing else for the program to do. It's not asked to stay in a loop or to continue on anywhere, so it just ends. Now I want to also show you whenever the pin is incorrect to see that else condition work. So if we up arrow in our terminal, it's going to put us on our last line we typed.
No indent $Python YouTube.py.
And I'm going to press enter on that.
Please enter your name dot.
Now we're going to enter our name. This time I'm going to enter Fred.
Cap F E E.
I'm going to press enter.
Please enter your pin dot.
Okay, so I'm going to enter a pin, but this time I'm going to enter something wrong. So 1 2 3 3 2. And I'm going to press enter on this.
Sorry dot. The pin is incorrect dot. Keith Black.
Okay, so you hear our error message saying that, sorry, the pin is incorrect. So that is going to conclude this video. So I hope you learned something from this video, and again in the next video this is going to kind of start a series that I really never finished in the past, and now I'm trying to work on coming out with at least 2 videos a week. So the goal is in the next videos to kind of go in more detail about variables and what you can do with variables, and how you can incorporate a variable inside of a string or a function instead of having to type out your string inside of your print function. So, and then we'll move on through each thing. So just to recall, we have covered a variable, or a comment, a variable, the data types integer and string. We've looked at the print function, the input function, the integer function, and then we've went over an if-else condition. We've looked at how what an assignment operator is and what a comparison operator is. And like I said, the goal is to go in more detail on each of those in the videos to come. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end, I'll ask you again, if you don't mind, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, subscribe if you would like, and click that notification icon to get updates. And if you are subscribed already, thank you for coming back and watching. And thank you everyone again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Python variable, YouTube.py, OBS25.